Hello and welcome to Her Success Tribe. I'm Rebecca Lockwood, multi-passionate entrepreneur and mindset and business strategist. I'm so happy to see you here and hope that you find as much value in these interviews as I do. We speak to women all over the world to understand how they run a successful business with purpose and take away the lessons and tips for you to go away with and implement straight into your business and life with ease. Enjoy. Welcome, Shaun.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Shaun Browne, this is unusual because usually we only have females, and I did say this to you, didn't I, when I invited you on? But you are fantastic. And so let me introduce you. So Shaun Browne, you are a coach and a speaker. And we met at an event that you were speaking at. And it was so moving, this talk that you gave, and so inspiring that I literally did come straight up to you and ask you, didn't I, to come on to the podcast, to the blog, to the YouTube channel, because this content is kind of reused and repurposed for everything that we do.
Cool.
Look, I'll let you take over, explain who you are, what you do, and how you work with your clients.
Awesome. Thank you for that intro. I remember that talk really well. And I remember being asked, what am I going to talk about? And I was like, I'm going to talk about success, but I ain't going to talk about it how you normally heard success talked about. And I sort of turned it on its head a little bit. And I think really that is what I do. I work with people and they come to me thinking we're going to talk specifically about business and their business outcomes and all these, all these grand things. And we sort of turn that on its head. And we talk about the nature of performance that's universal to all of us. And we talk about the nature of experience that's universal to all of us. Because I've just found that in that universal dialogue, rather than sort of getting really specific and narrow, by going wide and looking at what's true for all of us, insights naturally occur to that person. And I see my job as facilitating those insights and also freeing up the burden of the personality and the hang-ups that they've got themselves in that's stopping them from seeing the obvious. When we lift up in perspective and look down on the same thing, it doesn't even look the same. So that's what I help people to do, and to see that ultimately what they think is a problem is because of how close they are to it and their state of mind, rather than actually being any real problem.
Oh my God, I love that way of describing it. Insights, helping people see the insights. Yeah, love it. Okay, so when we met then, so you would this talk, and I know you've said a few times since then that you've been doing a few different talks. Do you always talk about the same subject, or do you talk about different things?
I always have the same theme, but just dress it up in different ways. The theme is always the mind, always. And then also I'd say not just the mind actually, but spirit as well, and performance and those sort of things, because, the sort of places I'm invited to speak, the people there are interested in results, like it matters to them. And I get that. But at the same time, I also know that, their life, their quality of life matters also. And, their experience on the way to getting their success matters. So I try and bring those together and not see them as separate things. Quality of life as well as achieving in life, like bringing those things together, for me matters a lot. So my talks are all about those sort of universal themes that affect us all, the mind and how it can fluctuate, fear, all those sort of things. We talk about all those types of things. So yeah, there's a common theme through my talks, but I just dress it up in different ways.
But do you know, though, I think that's important, and the reason why I asked you is because it's so common, and I see this so much, and my clients come to me with this challenge that they feel like they're constantly on this content creation treadmill. So they constantly need to put new stuff out, they constantly need to talk about something different. And when you think about it, when you position yourself as the expert, you position yourself as an expert in a specific area. So if you're talking about loads of different things, then how are people going to know what you're an expert in if you're not talking about the same thing all the time?
Absolutely. And to be quite frank, you're not an expert if you're all over the place. Because I think what makes an expert isn't necessarily their accumulation of just loads of knowledge. I don't think that's what makes an expert an expert. I think what makes, I don't want to say expert again because I said about 800 times, but I think what it is when somebody it's driven by your passion, whatever it is that you love, whatever you're fascinated with, almost sends you down the rabbit hole, and you don't want to talk about anything else. Like, I'm not interested. There's certain aspects of things that I'm not interested in. I'm interested in mind. I'm interested in performance. I'm interested in what makes people tick, what makes people function well, what doesn't, and that's it. And that's been for. I'm not just talking, in a career capacity now. That's all I read about. That's all I watch videos on. That's all I speak to my clients about, and that's where the expertise comes from. It's total immersion in one idea, so much so that you almost live it. Do you know what I mean? Like, an awesome athlete is an awesome athlete because they have that lifestyle, and they are the byproduct of the lifestyle. So I think that's what an expert is. It's somebody who walks their talk, who lives and breathes exactly what they say. And I think fake experts, this I can spot them, talk stuff that isn't true to them. They just talk because they read it in a book, or they heard some other expert say it. So they think, if I say that makes me look like an expert. Not true. It's your own experience, your own life brings your expertise.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And something that just cropped up into my head was, so you say that you're an expert when you're talking about the way that you live. So you lead by example. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. But I must say that I do a lot of mindset work, and that's the kind of stuff that I do with my clients, being an NLP coach. And so I always lead with the mindset. You need to do the inner work before you can do the outer work. There's no point in putting the business strategy in place before you put the mindset work in place. And I love both of them aspects. I'm all about massive action, growth. But until you feel the way you want to feel, you're never going to achieve the success that you want to achieve. And however, some days I do find it difficult. And so some days I might find myself thinking, how am I preaching this stuff when today I feel like crap and I just want to hide in my bed? And don't get me wrong, I've not got no fear of telling people that. But some days I do think it's kind of like imposter syndrome. I think to myself, well, I'm telling people that they need to do this, but I don't want to do it myself. What would you say about that?
What I would say is, welcome to being a human being. Like, that's it. I think, one thing that I've definitely learned from the mind, not only from my own experience, but now working with a lot of people and and this is important, working with people at different levels of their business. I'm sort of immersed a lot in the network marketing world at the moment. And I've worked with people at the lower end of that business, just getting in, just making a way. And I've worked with people literally at the very top. What you've just described is universal to all of them.
Yes.
Every single person on this planet,
I've got goosebumps,
has moments where they don't want to do what they know they need to do. Everybody, there's nobody who cannot relate to that, because it's part of being a human being. We oscillate between two states. We have a state where we're all clear, everything makes sense, everything's easy, and it's just flowing. Yeah. And then we have the state where it's really, I've got to go to the gym, I don't want to. Really, I've got to do that piece of, write that bit of copy, I don't want to. Like, we oscillate. It's human nature. Now, when we recognize that it's human nature, what that allows us to do is relax when we're in that state, knowing that there's nothing wrong with us and there's nothing wrong with being in that state. Because that state only becomes a problem when we think it's a problem, and then we try to manipulate ourselves out of it because we think it's wrong. So, like, I'm going to go and do 800 mantras, or I'm going to pump my arms for 8 hours and change my state. And look, there's some value in that, but it's superficial. Because it's not getting to the core. The core is, you are a human being. There are going to be times when you want to do it. There's going to be times when you don't want to do it. Both of those states are normal and human. And the more you just be with where you're at in that moment, the less resistance you have. And it's the resistance more than anything else that leads to the suffering. It's the resistance to how you're feeling, not the feeling itself.
Yeah, your mind throwing up that it's a problem.
Absolutely.
When
Absolutely.
what you need to do is switch it on the reverse and think, well, today's just a bad day. It's normal.
To an extent, yeah. Yeah, and another thing that I've found to be true is that state, you know, when we're thrown off or we're feeling a bit lethargic or whatever, that's not actually saying anything about our potential to perform at a high level. And a great example of that is that very talk that you went to, and that talk went really well. Hopefully, you'll attest to that. But I think it went really well.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, but like when I was sat with everybody before I was being introduced, and I was, you know, with my wife, my mind was all over the place. And if you'd asked me then, is this talk going to go well? I'd be like, probably not. Because if I'm going off what my mind's telling me right now, this is going to be shocking. But what my mind was telling me and the reality of what happened were not the same. They're just not the same. Sometimes our mind is on side of us, sometimes it's not. When we think that's a problem, we try and fix what doesn't need fixing. When we see it for what it is, which is just the mind going through and doing its thing, we stay in the moment and just get on with the activity. And then in and of itself, the mind clears because it has that capacity to do that. But it does it when we leave it to do it, not when we're meddling trying to fix it.
Yeah. Okay. So like just allowing it to be, just let it fizzle.
Yeah, allowing it to be is perfect, because allowing it to be means we're not in resistance to what is in that moment, whatever it is in that moment. And then it has the ability to pass, because our minds and our emotions, if you think about our emotions, they're not permanent. Like, you know, I'm not like this all the time. There's moments when I'm chill, there's moments when I'm excited, there's moments when I'm sad, and everything in between. But none of it is who I am. It's all transient. So it ebbs and flows like a river. It comes and then it goes again. And if you're okay with whatever's there in that moment, you're not in resistance. Like a river, it just flows. It goes on down the river and something else comes in its place and that goes on down the river. And that process just goes on.
So powerful. I recently realised that I'm a lot more judgmental towards myself than I realised. And what I mean is, in a similar sort of situation, I'd throw up judgments or expectations, even at the point when I didn't expect myself to do that. So I'm quite, I suppose, proud that I'm quite laid back and chilled and relaxed. However, I still found myself throwing up these judgmental thoughts of, I should be further on by now, or I should be doing more, or, you know, I should make more money, or, you know, these sort of things. What kind of is that something that you experience as well? And what advice would you give to someone else who experiences that?
To answer the first question, yes, it is something I experience myself. And what I would say to somebody who's experiencing that, I wouldn't actually say anything to it. Now, that sounds like a really ridiculous thing. But I'll give you an idea of what I mean. So I have clients who message me stuff like that, you know, because we work together on a long-term basis. And they'll be having a moment where in that moment, they're just like, their head's all over the place. So they'll send me a message going, and I shouldn't be doing this, and I'm terrible, and why am I doing this anyway, and nothing's working, and rah, rah, rah. And my response is usually something along the lines of, it'll pass, I'll speak with you soon. Now, the reason I deliberately do that is because if I go in at that perspective where they're at, where they're just only seeing problems, and we go in and we're trying to fix all this stuff, there's a misunderstanding going on there. It implies that there's something to actually do. What I know for sure from my own experiences, I can be looking at something in one moment and it looks like a disaster. And then, as I was saying before, because our mind is transient in nature and not permanent, I can look at the exact same thing an hour later, a day later, and it looks completely different. And the thing hasn't changed in the slightest. Now, what does that say about the judgment that I was placing on it earlier before? What it says to me is that the judgment was coming from my state of mind, not from truth. And when my state of mind resets back to its almost factory settings, when I look at it, I'll see it for what it actually is. So there's a line in Course of Miracles, phenomenal book, and it basically says, I'm not upset for the reason that I think I am. And it says that, like, for all things, I'm not upset for the reason that I think I am. The reason I think I am is because of I think it's the thing. It's the thing that's caused me to feel upset. But what usually is happening is the state that we're in that moment is almost like goggles that we're looking through the world through, and the world is then changed by the goggles we're looking through. It's not the thing itself. It's a bit like beer goggles. Everybody knows that. Like, you know, you have a few bevies, and then the world you're looking at shape, like, it's literally like being in a different world, isn't it? Like, you see a guy. I'm saying guy because you're from your lady, so it makes sense to say guy. You see a guy, you have a few bevies, like, oh, he's a 10. And then the alcohol wears off, looking at the same guy, like, I thought he was a 10. You know what I mean? And it's literally like being in a different world. It's a bit like that. When someone's in the midst of an ego attack, basically, where the, you know, the conditioned self, the lower self, is in charge, it doesn't see the world like the true self sees the world. And I just don't speak with people's egos.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And oh my God, like, now you said the word, I didn't even consider about the ego before, but that is exactly what it is, isn't it? It is
100% always.
pride and just allows that to be. Yeah, completely makes sense. I just also thought, I met my husband when I was drunk. Thankfully, he still is a 10.
I met my wife on a night out.
Oh, your wife's gorgeous as well.
Yeah, and I was drinking, and yeah, she was a 10, and then I sobered up, and I was like, actually, like 10 plus. We go even more awesome than I realised when I was stumbling around. But yeah, I just use that analogy to sort of show how reality can be distorted and warped by the goggles that we have on. And, you know, we all have a pair of anger goggles and bliss goggles and anxiety goggles. And sometimes we think that we're looking at reality, but what we're looking at is the lens, the goggles.
Yeah, I love how simple that is. And I've got, so A Course in Miracles is heavy. I've picked it up quite a few times. It's on the shelf. I dip in and out of it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Have you managed to read the full thing?
I haven't read the full thing, but I've listened to the full thing. 36 hours.
Yeah, I might try that.
It's worth listening to, yeah. I'm on my second listen through now, and it's funny how the second time round, it's like I'm hearing stuff and I'm like, whoa, I can really relate to it now on an even deeper level than the first time. The Course in Miracles for me is incredible because it talks to the universal experience. It doesn't talk to specific stuff. It talks to universal. And people might be listening to this thinking, well, isn't that too broad? And the answer is no, because it's getting back to what's true, which is the universal is more true than the fragmented view of, like, you know, it's the separation, you know, little old me against the world, and all that. That's actually us being in that sort of delusional trap of it's all on my shoulders, it's all me, and if I get it wrong, like, there's this whole disaster. Whereas the Course of Miracles is basically saying fundamentally there's two ways of seeing the world. We see the world as a place of love or a place of fear, and there isn't anything else. And everything else that we experience is just a variation of those two things. So when I'm talking about expertise and sort of going down a rabbit hole, that's an expression of love. It's a love for that particular topic, that subject, and that area. It's love. And when I hear somebody talking about judging themselves and, you know, oh, I'm getting this wrong, or this is going to go wrong, I know what I'm hearing is fear. I know that's all it is. It may not sound like fear, but that's what it actually is. And when we sort of dig, we always get to fear. Always.
Yeah, and definitely fear is always brought up by the ego.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. The ego is a little terrified. It's terrified always, and is looking to bolster itself through any means necessary. It doesn't matter what it is, drama, achievement, um, anything, tension. It will do anything to bolster itself. Anything.
Yeah. So I've got a pack of Gabrielle Bernstein cards,
Oh
and
yeah.
one of them is surrender, something about surrendering. And I've just left that one by the door.
Mm.
Surrender and to me that means surrender the ego, just release it, release all judgment, release all control, and just see the light and the love and just let it flow and let it be. So I love your analogy about the river. It proper resonates. So in terms of you yourself then, is there like some daily habits that you follow that help you keep you, into that state, that keep it flowing and keep
Um,
and rearing its head?
yes, but what I would say is, and this is really important, because sometimes when somebody might listen to this and think I might have really enjoyed what I've heard so far, and then thought, well, whatever comes out of Shaun's mouth in response to this, I'm going to do it because if it works for him, it'll work for me, and that's not necessarily so. And I've learned this myself because I'm somebody who, down this rabbit hole of exploring all these things, I was really immersed in personal development. And I used to make the mistake of thinking that it was the behaviors that would then lead to everything else. And what I found to be true is it's listening to yourself that leads into everything else. So I do have a routine, but my routine now has sort of been inspired by myself and where I'm at rather than anything else. So I would advise that to everybody listening. If you feel like you want to start a routine, start it based from that, purely because you want to, and for you it seems right. Don't do it because anybody else says to do it. Like, don't do it because I said I do one. Do it because in your heart it makes sense to do one. That all being said, my routine is very simple. I get up quite early, and I go out and I walk. Now it's like pitch black when I go out and do it. But I go out and walk. When I'm walking, I'm listening to Course in Miracles, or I'm walking in absolute silence and just walking. I don't actually talk for like the first hour I'm awake. It's not like my mouth doesn't open. I literally just walk, and I'm sort of just, I suppose I feel very connected in that time. And then I get back. I might write on my journal if I feel the need to. If I've had an insight, like something that's just jumped into my mind, I tend to write insights down. I'll have a bit of contemplation. By contemplation, what I basically mean is I'll just sit. Some people would describe it as meditation, but I'll just sit and just have quiet time where I'm just not really doing anything. And all of this, for me, at the moment is right because I've got 2 young kids. And as soon as they are awake, all concepts or semblance of contemplation goes out of the window because my kids are awake and they need my attention. So I'm fully immersed in that school run and all that. And then the day just happens. So I think that's why my routine now is what it is. And that's what I meant about doing what's right for you. That works for me because of the life that I lead and my lifestyle and what I have in my life and my young children. One of them is 4, one of them is 6, so it works for me. There'll be a time when they're gone, and my routine is going to be staying in bed till as late as possible. Doing that, like it will change, it will change. But that's what it is at the moment.
Yeah, I love that because before I'm due to have my baby in 4 weeks, and before I was pregnant, I was like, get up at 5 o'clock, journal, visualize, meditate, do everything, and that's the way it should be. And yeah, and when throughout the pregnancy, it was impossible to do any of that. And so now I say exactly the same thing. Like literally, I was recording a video just before we jumped on here, and I even said, what resonates with you might not resonate with me. What resonates with me might not resonate with you.
100%.
What some days I find myself journaling whilst my daughter's come and jumped into bed with me in the morning. Some days I have to sort her out, give her a breakfast, and I'll sit and journal whilst I have my cup of tea.
Yep.
The one thing that I do think is key for everybody is to put yourself into the space of feeling as though you want to feel. And that for me has been universal. So if you want to feel a way, then choose to feel that way and put yourself in that space. And apart from that, yeah, completely. Like, not everybody likes journaling, not everybody likes meditating. I don't like exercising.
Yeah. And look, I'm not one for meditating in a strict form. Walking for me with no music on and no talking is a form of meditation for me. That's what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. When I speak to my new clients and I talk about meditation, they're literally like, oh, but I just can't meditate. And I say, well, meditation for me, I'm downstairs in the spa in the steam room, just sat in peace, just quiet. And sometimes I get inspired to just move quickly and go and write something down. And sometimes I'll just think about things that have happened, and
Absolutely.
you don't necessarily have to do it by anybody's expectations, just by your own.
No, not at all. It's the more in tune you are with who you are, like, and what's right for you, the more it's going to work. Like, it just will. And a lot of the times we get ourselves tied up in knots when we're trying to be what we think other people think we should be, because that's what leads to success. That doesn't make any sense, because we are who we are for a reason. It's not random or happenstance, like whatever that is. And for some people, success will be, having an incredible family. For other people, success will be, I don't know, being a bin man. It doesn't matter. That stuff doesn't matter. That's secondary. What's primary is the feeling within. You know you're onto something when you're at peace. You know you're onto something. And that's my driving force, really. I know I'm on the right lines when I'm in tune with who I am and I'm at peace. So I'm doing what I want to do, and it's leading to something. It's a good sort of rule of thumb.
Yeah. So often I see people who are just rushing around and feel like they just need to rush all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely by checking in and just asking yourself what it is that you want. I was recently speaking to a few of my clients who all said the same thing. They're not enjoying the process.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because they're just trying to rush it, feeling like they should be doing things that, and there's the perception thing that comes in then. And I said, well, why are you rushing it? Just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And it completely switches it all around, doesn't it? And I know from my own experience, I found that when I get myself into that space, I'm so much more productive.
Oh yeah.
I'm only ever creating from inspired action. So I don't necessarily sit down and write a to-do list. I'll just think, right, today I need to do this, and then I'll just do it. I don't necessarily time block, or, I have people all the time say, how do you do so much? And I never really knew how to answer them, because I used to think that I had to say, well, I sit down and I write all my to-do things and I write everything that I've got to do, and then I block out my time, and then I, productivity planner and stuff that I used to use. But actually the truth is, I just sit and I ask myself, what do I need to do? What feels right for me today? And what will I enjoy doing? And that's what I do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, okay, coming into your kids, so you've got 2 young children, and how old are they?
Nathan's 6, Ava is 4.
Oh, so how have you found that? Because I know my daughter's 2 and I'm about to have another one, and so I never get angry with her, but sometimes at that age she can be quite testing.
Yeah.
I always remember she's a 2-year-old, and does it really matter if she wants to get changed 6 times a day? It doesn't matter, so I'll just let her.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone, and how, like, from your own experience, like, how have you found, like, coming to the end of your tether, I suppose you could describe it? What would you do in that kind of situation?
I think when I'm coming towards the end of my tether, it's already too late, because you're already at the point where you're like, and look, that goes back to what we were saying before. We're human beings, and we have moments where we're up in our head and our mind is all cluttered and full, and we have moments when our mind is clear. And all parents will relate to this. You'll have one of your children do a particular behaviour, And on one day, you're just like, oh, that's so cute. That's amazing. And then there'll be another day when they'll do the exact same behavior, and you'll be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Which shows it's nothing to do with the child. It's nothing to do with the child. What we're responding to is our state, not the behavior. And this is why I like to talk about the universal things, because it applies to all things. So with that, what I do in terms of parenting is, one, recognize that that's true of me, but two, also recognize that's true of my kids. So we have this thing where kids have to sort of be, if our kids aren't this model of perfection, that is saying something about us, which is total nonsense, because our kids are human beings just like we are. So I understand that there's going to be moments when my kids are totally chill and just playing or want to spend time with me, it's all we do it. And there's been times when they're up in their head and they're having a tantrum for no particular reason. And I understand that. So in that understanding, there's nothing to judge, because it's just a mini human being being a mini human being. Just like a big human being is being a big human being. It's the same. It's exactly the same. And in that, it gives me it allows me to love my children irrespective of their behavior. Behavior, it's just behavior. It's not who they actually are. So it allows you to sort of, take the rough with the smooth, but not sort of get hung up on either. Which for me personally, when I learned that, was amazing. And I think I learned that through having children, because before that, without that experience of, little ones, going through that journey, you don't really realize, you don't truly see all the little milestones that you go through, and all the challenges that there are just growing up, like literally as just growing up and living, and how some of it's really confusing for them, and some of it is hard. And I don't want to add to that. It is what it is already. I don't want to add any burden to that. So yeah, recognizing that I'm human and so are they, and neither of us are perfect, allows me to sort of, again, not be in resistance to anything, and just let it be what it is. Which sounds like it's passive, but it's the opposite of that. Like, that doesn't mean that I just let them do whatever. But what it means is what it actually means is I can see through the behavior and still see them, even when I'm dealing with that behavior.
Yeah, it's so true. I always say we act in accordance with what we've got available to ourselves at the moment in time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so true. That's been so helpful. Thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an awesome conversation.
I've loved it.
Is there anything else that you want to add that I've not asked?
Not that I can think of. It'd just be to say, thank you to you for having me on. It's been loads of fun. And I think sometimes you don't know what you think until someone asks you. So it's been fun for me to actually, ponder these things and, and sort of formulate answers. That's been really fun for me as well. But yeah, this universal understanding that I work with my coaching, it just works. It works. Coaching, somebody, as you said, parenting stuff comes up all the time. We can talk about that. Relationships, big time helps there. Business, big time helps there. So it just helps in general to go to the universal, go to the impersonal, and look from that perspective.
Yeah, thank you so much. So if anybody wants to find out more from you or work with you any further, how would they find you?
Best thing to do at the moment is to find me on social media. The two places that I'm most active, I am in other places, but I'm just very rarely am there. But the places where I'm most active are Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is Shaun Browne, spelled Shaun, and Brown with an E at the end. And I think there's a picture of me like pointing or with like a microphone or something, so you'll know it's me. And on Instagram, it's Shaun_Browne, all one. I can't remember what my profile picture is there. I think it's me and my wife actually, in Canada. Arm in arm, Niagara Falls. There's a picture of me there, so you'll know it's me again. So they're the best places to find me. I live on Facebook Messenger, so if anybody wants to sort of arrange a conversation with me, sort of find out more about what I do or ask me a question based on the back of this conversation, Facebook's a great place to do that. And then from there, within minutes, we can be on a video call. It's very, very easy to organise. So they're the main places, really, where people can find me.
Super. And I do highly recommend, if anyone's got any questions, to reach out to you, because you are super. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. It's been awesome.
I hope you enjoyed the interview today. If you did enjoy it, then please do head over and leave us a review on iTunes and on the Facebook page at Rebecca Lockwood. You can find all the amazing resources to create a business and life with purpose at RebeccaLockwood.org.uk/social. And remember that you can make a choice each and every day to show up as the woman that you dream to be. Your time is now. Yes, you can. Have an amazing day, and if you need anything at all from me, head over to the Facebook group and join us, which is the network Her Success Tribe.